Arceus has proven to be one of the strongest new cards in Pokemon Pocket, and today I'm going to be sharing with you the top 6 variations of the Arceus deck in Pokemon Pocket. Starting with the first variation, which is going to be Palkia EX and Arceus EX. Now this deck is pretty simple. You really want to start with Manaphy. If you don't, it's going to be kind of hard to win from the backline. However, if you do, you have things like your Leaf to pull back your Palkia or your Arceus to then bring your Manaphy forward if you could find your Manaphy with your Pokeball. But again, the strategy of this deck is super simple. Manaphy comes out there into the active spot and it ramps not only your Palkia, but also your Arceus. So within a few turns, you can at least guarantee a few energy, maybe 2 to 3 energy on both of your Pokemon on your bench. So that way they can do tremendous damage. And also if you lose Manaphy, it's only 1 point. So that way you can bring out things like Arceus and start shredding them, or even the Palkia EX and just start shredding them. But the rest of the cards in this deck list really add to this entire deck. Now you've seen a lot of water decks do really well, so it's no surprise to you that of course this has a Misty, and if Misty works, then I think you just win turn 1. However, if it doesn't work, you have the other cards here that help you win in the long run. For example, we have Disruption for Sabrina, we have Cyrus to pull things back if they try to run away, and then also we just ramp our Arceus, and then that comes in and could potentially deal up to 130, which is a really strong attack. Now, I've seen other variations of this deck that run something like Abomasnow, but what I'm going to be sharing with you in today's video are the highest placing Arceus deck lists in all the tournaments so far. There was a Abomasnow Arceus build with Manaphy and Palkia, just literally sprinkle in the Snorunt and the Abomasnow, right? No, it's not Snorunt. What is it? Snover? Or whatever the pre-evolution is, that guy. Throw them in here. However, this deck list placed higher than that one. So instead of being repetitive and sharing both of them, even though that's just a slight different variation, I'm just going to share this one. And I think this is a very, very strong deck list, especially if you're a water enthusiast. Let me know what you guys think. Now moving on to number 5, which is honestly one of my favorite variants in all of the Arceus variant decks. And this is the one that runs Heatran and Magneton. Now you'll notice there's 3 types here, with 2 of them that require different energy. However, this deck only runs fire type energy because your Magneton, once you evolve your Magnemite into Magneton, can ramp itself. And the idea is Magneton is on the bench, it ramps itself for at least 2 turns, so that way you can guarantee Magneton will be able to dish out at least 2 Thunder Blasts for consecutive 110 damage. However, if you want to go for 3, you can go for 3, but pretty much however many volt charges you use to ramp up your Magneton is as many attacks that your Magneton will be able to do. So on the turn that you're going to evolve into Magneton, a lot of players do often make this mistake. However, you want to use your ability before evolving so that way you get that extra energy, and then you could bring it out to the active spot and go crazy. We have our Arceus that stays on the bench. However, we have our first Link Pokemon that we'll be sharing today, which is Heatran. Again, one of my personal favorites because this thing acts like a really good frontliner. You throw on a Rocky Helmet, it gives the opponent damage, but also you get it 2 energies, and its Raging Mad Strike attack, what a great name, deals up to 80 damage, which is a lot of damage, especially if it already has some damage on it. However, the ability Speed Link allows this 3 retreat cost Pokemon to be 0 and just retreat back into your bench, bring out your Arceus or your Magneton, and often win games. This was one of the first decks that I actually ever competed in a tournament with for the new mini set. I believe I got top cut with it too. It was it was top 16 with this deck. It was my second tournament, day 2 of the mini set release. I love this deck. There's a little bit of a bias here, a little bit of an attachment, a very, very nice deck. You have the Researchers, you have the 2 Cyrus, because again, you're going to want to pull those things back in. All right, we got the background back. Not sure what happened there. The Cyrus is very important. We have the Sabrina for Disruption, 1 Leaf to pull back your Arceus if you're starting with Arceus. That's literally the only reason you want to use a Leaf for, maybe for Magneton, but probably not. And then your 2 Pokeballs for Search and 2 Rocky Helmets. But all in all, a really strong deck, and again, one of my favorites. Now we're moving on to number 4 on today's list, and it's going to be the grassy side of Arceus. And this one's really cool because I made a video about a week or 2 ago talking about the synergy between Carnivine and Executor, and then lo and behold, we're getting first place, not one, I think there's 2 or even possibly 3 of these types of deck variations that ended up getting first place. I'm not saying it's because of the videos that I post. I'm sure players have been playing this since the release, right? But it's really cool to see like these decks actually make it that high, and it's not just one solid deck that is the best. Well, actually there is one solid deck that gets the most first place placements. However, these decks can still win and get first place. Like I said, there's 2 or 3 of them. So let me go over this deck list real quick. You have the Arceus. That's in your backline, you're ramping it up. And then the other 2 Pokemon that you're going to be using to attack in this deck are your Exeggutor EX and your Carnivine, which only require 1 energy apiece, which is the amazing part of this deck. They're also grass type, which means Erica can help them heal. But on top of that, Carnivine can deal up to, what is it, 50 damage if your Arceus is on the bench, because of that power link, which is pretty strong for a basic card that only costs you 1 prize point if your opponent knocks it out. But then also your Exeggutor is an EX, can deal up to 80 damage if you flip a heads, or just as low as 40, which is still very good. And it has a 160 HP, so it gives you a lot of time to ramp your Arceus, get your Arceus online, keep Erica-ing, is that a word? Your Exeggutor, keep it alive, and then when it's time, you could even use your cape, you pull it back with a leaf potentially, and then bring out your Arceus and just start shredding your opponents. Like, it's the energy investment of this deck that makes this deck super viable and a lot of fun and just quite strong, to be honest. Exeggutor EX, I think we could all agree, is quite literally the strongest, most versatile, and best EX Pokemon from Genetic Apex that you can pretty much put in every set so far. You're building a grass deck? Exeggutor EX. Like, there's no reason why you wouldn't put this card in there. It just provides an immense amount of value. So this is the grassy side of the Arceus, but we still have 3 more decks, I believe, to go over. So let's move on to number 3. Now this one's a little bit newer. It doesn't really show you too many new Pokemon other than Arceus, but the strategy holds, and it makes me wonder. The Greninja Dread core is going to be a staple moving forward, unless they do something like rotations, but I'm pretty sure what we're going to see moving forward in set 3, set 4, set 5, set 6, I could be wrong, right? But I don't think so from what we've currently seen, is we're going to see Greninja, Dread, and then 1 really strong EX Pokemon or something that's a basic or potentially even a stage 1 that goes in this deck, because the idea is very simple and it works. You get your Greninja online from the bench, it starts sniping from the bench. You get your Dread, not even online, but you just get your Dread in the active spot. It deals passive damage whenever they attack. And then the other 3rd Pokemon, be it a basic, stage 1, whatever, is on your bench. You're ramping it, you're feeding it all your energy. That's where your energy investment goes. And then you're able to just bring them out and just start shredding. So again, Greninja, Dread, and Arceus makes a lot of sense in this deck. You also have a Leaf, a Cyrus, and the cool part about this is an Irida, which I think is going to make this package or core even stronger, because you're always going to run a water type energy. I don't think you play Greninja Dread unless you're doing the Darkrai package outside of the water energy. I think a colorless or water is going to work the best because of the brand new Irida supporter. It just makes sense in terms of sustainability. Then we have 2 Pokeballs, 1 communication, and 2 capes. Really nice to see something like this work. I know a lot of people aren't too enthusiastic about seeing, oh, it's another Greninja Dread strategy, but like, again, 3 Pokemon that are your core and they all have pretty good and strong abilities. Greninja Dread being some of the best abilities in the game of Pokemon Pocket so far. You're going to see them in a lot of like top decks that run this similar stall strategy. So it just makes sense. That's number 3. We have 2 more to go. Let me know in the comments before we get to the first spot. I'm pretty sure you guys already know what the number 1 Arceus build is, but let's go to number 2 real quick. And the number 2 spot is going to be the Crobat variation, which I still haven't really played, to be honest. I've gone up against it and it is quite menacing. It's very hard to play against something that potentially has 2 Crobats on their bench and they're passively going to deal 60 damage total to your active Pokemon. Now, I've seen this variation when I've gone up against it with Darkrai. However, the variation I'm sharing with you today is the highest placing winning deck list. I think it was 2nd place, potentially, out of all the variations for Crobat Arceus. So because of that, I'm sharing with you the deck list that did the best. It did not run Darkrai. It instead ran Dread, which I guess is your frontliner, while you're ramping up your Arceus with all the energy, and then hopefully using your other cards like Pokeball Research to find your Crobat and get it online, because that's the idea. Your Dread is there, maybe with a Rocky Helmet to deal passive damage of up to 40. You get your 2 Crobats online. What is the max damage this can do? Arceus comes out and does a max damage of 130. You just have a full bench, correct? However, throw in an extra 60, your Arceus is dealing up to 190. Well, not just your Arceus, but you as a player will deal up to 190 damage to the opponent's active Pokemon, which is insane, right? But then on top of all of that, what energy is this deck running? It's only water type. You're never attacking with your Crobat. You're never attacking with your Dread. You're only attacking with your Arceus. You're using the passive ability of the other 2 Pokemon. Again, 3 core Pokemon with really strong abilities. And then you have an Irida here that can sustain you and heal your Arceus, heal your Dread, which would be quite annoying, to be honest. And it's such a strong deck list, honestly. I might play it now. I might try to play this variation. I think the variation with Darkrai just felt like such a I don't have the correct word for it, but it didn't appeal to me. But this honestly really does appeal to me, running only Irida. So expect the video here on the channel soon. Shout out to this player for placing so well with this deck list. But yeah, it's pretty much it. You have a Cyrus and a Leaf, and I think it's time to get to the first place winning deck list, which I think you guys know what it is. Come on now. And of course, it's the Arceus Dialga EX, heck, even Mew EX. You call this the deck of the gods. Mount Olympus is what I called it when I first created it, thinking that, oh, like I made this the first time, but then literally that week there were hundreds of players playing. I figure all the players that play this game somewhat competitively came to the conclusion that this is probably the best, most consistent package for this deck list. And the idea is simple, really. You run Metal Energy. You want to start with your Dialga. You don't even have to put anything on your bench until your Dialga has 2 energies, 2 metal energies. And then you Metallic Turbo your Arceus EX. The following turn, it starts dishing out damage. You Metallic Turbo your Mew EX. The following turn, it could come in and counter damage with the genome hacking, depending on what your opponent's running and if they got online quicker than you. And then you have your single Shaman that just helps you get away from those like HP points that could potentially knock you out. For example, if you Giant Cape your Arceus and it takes some damage or whatever, you can get that Shaman just to get you above that threshold of potentially being in a 1-hit KO range. So that's pretty good. We have our 2 Leafs to pull things back, 2 Giovannis, because with Giovanni, your Arceus is guaranteed to knock out a opposing Arceus that doesn't have a cape or anything. Cyrus to pull things back in, 2 Potions. Sustainability is very important because, again, 3 of our Pokemon cost 2 prize points. We don't really want to lose Pokemon, to be honest. We don't want to be on the back pedal of potentially getting sniped with a Sabrina or even a Cyrus and losing. So you want to keep your Pokemon alive as much as possible. If they are going down, that's where the Leaf comes in. You might want to just pull them back, force your opponent to use a Cyrus if they have it. It's still like, yeah, you lose points, but it's still putting you in a better position, in my opinion. 2 Rocky Helmets, and again, that single Giant Cape. But there you guys have it. The 6 best top variations of Arceus, according to me, my opinions here. I mean, there are other variations. There's the Infernape Heatran. There's the Rotom build in the Carnivine Executor build. There's so many different variations that I guess you could include, but I think these are the top 6. And I would love to hear your guys' opinions in the comments down below. What do you guys think? Do you agree with these top 6? Are any of these 6 your favorite Arceus variation? Let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more quality Pokemon Pocket content. And with that, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.